scratch something a little from the professional angle, so that every correct person has two legs. Correct? Yes. The spiritual and the professional must go hand to hand. Our brother has mentioned Ezra already 7. That this man Ezra, if you read verse 6, verse 7, said this man Ezra was a teacher well versed in the law. What was Ezra going to teach? The law, isn't it? And what is his status in the law? We read it today. It's a ready scribe, isn't it? A ready scribe. Now, that thing that King James called ready scribe, let's check it. Because we have entered our seminar and a professional one now. Let's check it. Ezra, chapter 7. Okay? In verse 6, can someone read it for us?
It says, this Ezra came out from Babylon, and he was a skilled scribe.
He was a skilled scribe, right? Yes, where's the NIV now? Thank you very much.
This Ezra came out from Babylon. He was a teacher who went far from the law of Moses.
See, this Ezra that we are talking about is what? He was a teacher. Which kind of teacher? Well versed. Read it again.
This Ezra came from Babylon. He was a teacher well versed in the law of Moses.
Now, what was Ezra going to teach? The law of Moses. And also, what is his status inside the law of Moses? Well versed. What's the meaning of well versed? Well versed. We can only say very competent, isn't it? Well versed. That is to say, if you enter this angle, Ezra is there. Bring it here, Ezra is there. Bring to the other side, Ezra is there. Well versed in the law of Moses that he was going to teach. Now, you are not teaching the law of Moses, you are teaching geography. So what should you be also in geography? Well versed. You are teaching mathematics, what should you be? Well versed. You are teaching home economics, what should you be? Well versed. Not like the biology teacher is teaching genetics. He wants to write chromosome on the board. You look. See? H. Look. O, M. By the time you go to N, look. But before you write one chromosome like this and look at the book 3 times. If I'm a student in that class, I will not be. I said, this man, me and him, we are not different. He is looking at us, me, I'm looking at him, so I better go and read it by myself. Ezra was well versed. So we cannot play with the issue of your professional development. We can't. Don't even say, they are not sponsoring me to school. No. Make your personal effort, because we have said the government of this world, they will not sponsor the kingdom of God. I want to say kingdom of God. Say, what is the kingdom of God again in the education? What it concerns them together? A lot. Gather students together to do Bible study. NC, SS3, and say, yes, we are reading verse one by one. You will know the drama we are talking about. So even the Bible, you cannot, the Bible cannot be understood if you are not well versed even in English. Now, but that is not my issue, my topic for this seminar. You know, somebody said it was going to run away because of lesson planning. Now, you didn't plan your lesson, so how do you intend to go? And many teachers, and they are in the habit of you are teaching 6 subjects in one day. Say, okay, you wrote 2. Is that what we do, ba? Answer me, oh. That's what we do. So what about the rest 4? So you're just writing lesson note for supervisor, whether HM or principal, or in case anybody come from the zonal office to come and check, say yes, yes, but I didn't know you wrote yesterday. That is not lesson plan. You're only fulfilling, you're only protecting your job. Now, what is lesson planning? And of course, all of us, okay, I traveled to Benue day before yesterday. Did I plan? I'm asking myself, how much fuel will I need? I'm asking myself, when should I start the journey, because it takes how many hours? I'm asking myself, the tires, are they okay? I'm checking. Is the jack inside? Is that one there? Is this one there? What is all of that? That is planning. So lesson plan is something that you do to execute the lesson that you are going to do, that you are going to interact with the students in the future. The future can be either tomorrow, can be next, but it is a plan. And you write it down, so it's a document, it's a written document to show the line of activities that will happen in the class. Now, when we write lesson notes for official marking, you already know all the things that are there: class, sex, this, that, objective, this, full stop. That was the just official one. But when you are planning a lesson, it's a very serious business. In fact, if they enter your mind, you should be thinking, what these students tomorrow, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? How will I do this? How will I do that? It first of all takes place in your mind. But see, our minds of nowadays, because of the economic downturn, I don't know, or because of ignorance, I don't know. Our brother who is talking about selling kunu and so for all of this one. So you see somebody is in the class, is in the school, on his phone. Please, do you have a grower mash? Yes. How much is a bag? Okay, it's okay. I'm sending somebody to come and pick it now. Send me your account number. All of that is high school. Abi? So the mind, the human being is in the mind. Abi? The mind is where? Is in his poultry house. Alright? Then the carcass is in the school. When the children go say, hey man, we have economics, we have business, okay. Go ahead to read that passage in page 35. Coming. So, but I will touch one thing or two things inside our when we are planning to teach. One of the critical elements of lesson plan is the objectives. Isn't it? Objectives. What do you intend to achieve at the end of the lesson? Objectives. And because teaching is aiming at changing behavior, you make that, state that objective very clearly. You state it behaviorally. What behavior do you expect to see the students exhibiting as a result of this lesson? So you are saying, okay, at the end of the lesson, the students should be able to draw and label the external part of a cockroach. So, but and when 40 minutes is finished, then you should be able to see the student drawing and labeling and all of that. Now, but when we are writing objectives, we should choose our words carefully, because it determines the direction that the lesson will go. Okay? For example, you already know that Bloom classified objectives into how many categories? 3 categories, isn't it? What is one? Affective. You said cognitive. And what again? And what again? Psychomotor. Good. Now, cognitive objectives, or the issue of cognition, has to do with intellectual development. All right? Intellectual. Affective, this is the issue of the mind, the emotions, interest, attitude, all of that. Psychomotor is dealing with what? The use of the limbs to do things. Now, but many times our emphasis is placed on the cognitive aspect of objectives, mental development. Many times we don't make room for psychomotor and all of that, which is bad enough. But I will tell you something that is worse. When you talk about cognitive domain, how many levels do we have? Huh? Somebody say 8. Okay, how many levels do we have of the cognitive domain? So I'm catching you now that you are not reading your books, right? Now, there are 6 levels when we talk about cognitive domain. And we start from the low level and we go to higher levels. All right? Now, the first level in cognition is what? What is it? Okay, the first level is remembering or recall. All right? So if they ask a question, how many parts or what are the members of a nuclear family? Somebody say father, mother, children. Abi? What has he done now? He has just what? Remembered. And most times, you don't need serious thinking to remember. Or do you? You don't need serious thinking to remember. Father, mother, children. Recall. Now, if we stop at the level of recall, who is the mother of Jesus? Mary. All right? Now, is a child, is his mind being developed correctly? Just to recall, he is good though, but it's just elementary. Okay? Now, the second level of cognitive domain is what? Understanding. To understand. You can see that to understand is deeper than just to recall. You know, as a teacher in school, when we go around, especially when exams are near, timetables have been placed on the board, and everybody is doing green. Exam is coming next week. And at that time you begin to see students, studying in groups. Sometimes two. Then they carry one of the handout. Say, hold it for me. Are you familiar with that? When he hold it for you, then he begins to just close his eye and he's talking. They say, no, you miss this thing, you miss. You didn't put they on this side. Say, okay, let me see it again. Just close the eye again. Now, what is he doing? He's just grabbing so that he can do what? So that he can recall. So that he can remember in case they ask. But does he understand? No. So understanding is deeper than what? Than recalling. So the second level is understanding. What does this mean? A child comes, say, what is photosynthesis? Any biology teacher here? So they say, I'm not alone here. Yes, define photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is a photochemical process where green plants manufacture carbohydrate with carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight, the chlorophyll. What do you do? Good. But what is photochemical? You will not even know that it's not only sunlight. Does he understand? He doesn't understand. But he could make a recall. So we teach students to understand. Now, if you want to catch your students that they are not, they don't understand, you do something. You say, which subject now? That Nigerian agriculture is at its optimum. Discourse. What are you going to say? You didn't teach us this one. You didn't teach us this one. No, you didn't teach us this one. They went and said question outside the syllabus. Didn't teach us. But what are you asking for? You are asking, what are the problems of agriculture in Nigeria? If you are saying, enumerate the problems of agriculture in Nigeria, number one, lack of money. Number two, tractor spoil. Number three, no good road to carry to market. Number five, this one, they will have listed 25 points for you. But twist the thing small like this, they are off guard. Because there is no understanding. So understanding will mean that the child is able now to look what is the meaning of the concept that is being put before him or her. Alright? Can you see the deeper level now? Very good. What's the third level? Of cognitive domain. What's the third level? Application. Application. Now, what does that mean? A child has been taught a concept in school. Theoretically, he has done, he has passed. But outside the class, does he find any relevance of that concept that he has learned with the immediate environment? That's what I'm saying. For example, in chemistry, you have taught acid. All the characteristic of acid is that it's sour, isn't it? He has written the exam. Acid is sour in taste. He has passed. But when he sees unripe mango or ripe orange and he tastes it and it's sour, nothing tells him that this is what the teacher was talking inside class. Nothing. Unconnected. Is that the school knowledge? Has he applied anything yet? No. No. And I don't even need to you here, but I know that the last time that you used instructional material was when the supervisor was coming to see you when you were teaching practice. Confirm it to me, is it true or false? And they are everywhere, instructional materials, they are everywhere. If I ask, and they say, it's because government didn't provide this, government didn't provide that. If you went and got some of these sticks outside, tie them to bundle, can you teach elementary mathematics with it? Yes. Very well. Okay, government didn't provide money. If you can't give ordinary maize seed that you can click on the ground and just say, okay, then we are going to do counting. Will it work? It will work. So the instructional materials are everywhere. Let's not enter into that area. Application. We are hoping that when the children have learned something in school, they should be able to apply the knowledge in their environment. All right? What is the next level? What's the next level? You see that now? Evaluation, that's the last. Now, you see, somebody have a motorcycle. No motorcycle. And sometimes when our motorcycle is spoiled, there are some funny things we do. Just carry spanner. Huh? If you have a correct spanner and you see a knot, what will you do now? Lose it. Put this one here. See a screw and you have screwdriver. What do you do now? Lose. Bring that one. Put it here. That one go. Spanner. Lose. Put it. If you continue like that, before you know it, your motorcycle is in what? It's in pieces. That is not the first important. That is not the most important thing. What is the most important thing? It's to complete it back, isn't it? Aha! So, for a mechanic who knows what he's doing, by the time he loses this one, he knows that this particular part now, there's a problem here. Okay? Go and bring Boris. This Boris no good. The TCDC has the sound. See. Now, as he's doing that, what is he doing? He's analyzing the situation. When he has analyzed the situation, finish. What is the thing to do again now? Is to put them back. Put them back. Now that level of putting back is what you call what? What do you call it? Synthesis. Now, why are we saying that? It is because that if we don't teach our students to be able to enter into analysis of issues, their brain will not function deeply. They are bringing the thing out piece by piece. When they have done like that, do you know at the end of the day, they will say, but we can even say this thing in a different way and it will be the same thing. Abi? Now, you cannot see the student as stating the same fact you gave him in his own words. How did they arrive at it? Because he has pieces, and then couple back, analyze in synthesis. Oh God, are we making some progress? Are we going too fast? Now, when you have got it to the level of synthesis, that is, you can pieces this thing into different parts and arrange it. Sometimes in a different way. Then the last thing is evaluation. What is evaluation? What's another word for evaluation? Assessment. What's another word for assessment? Judgment, isn't it? Very good. Now when you have put issues before a learner, and you are saying compare and contrast. What I ask you to do? Compare and contrast. That means that he must have seen this one clearly. Abi, he has seen this other one clearly. He now knows where they are the same. He now knows where they are different. Alright? And he now knows that between this place something is wrong. When you ask a question, critically examine the role of legislation in governance. What I ask you for, he should look at that issue of legislature, all right, and then tell us what are the strengths inside, what are the weaknesses, what do we need to do. Now you can see that this thing is not a matter of just recalling anymore. Is it recalling again? No. You have entered into now the field of judgment, whether it is correct or it is not correct. Now, the reason why I'm deciding to do this is this. You go now, when you leave here and go home, go and check your lesson plans, where you have written for many years if you are keeping them. Where do you think your objectives are focused on these 6 areas I have mentioned? What's the majority of them? Remembering. Remembering. Now, if you continue to teach children and all they are looking for is that they should remember, when will they use their brain to think? Can you see that we are not developing the capacities of our students? Just making them to recall, no thinking. You don't even need to do much. Just recall. Now, you see mathematics people. They will say, if this is equals to this, and x is this, that. Find x. I said, look at x. Now look at it. Yes, look at it. Something is not nonsense. Look for it. Now, but you see, are you talking about the goal here? Is it just memorize something? No. You are saying, okay, if this is equals to this, then this, that. And if this, that, then x must be something. Then this. So this. Therefore, x is equals to. Did you see that now? What are they doing? They are really using their mind, engage their mind in critical thinking. You cannot memorize. You cannot. You want to practice to write YK in mathematics, and then you are memorizing x minus y equals to this. Will you make any sense? No. You must think. So teachers must learn to engage the minds of their students beyond the matter of just remembering and then recalling. That is too small. give challenging situations, and then the mind sets to work. Okay? Sets to work. So please, are you promising that as you are going from here now, even your statements of objective will change?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Yes. Don't teach just to encourage remembering and recalling. That is too small. Anybody can do that one. All right. So objectives. Objectives. In writing objectives, there are certain words we avoid. Right? No, we use active verbs. Name of active verb. Something that can be seen and measured. Active verbs. So we avoid, for that reason, vague words like the students should know the meaning of production. The students should know. Then we are asking the question, how do you know that they have known? How do you know that they have known? Because the only way to know that they have known is to devise a means of entering their mind. To check whether they have known. Does anybody have a capacity to do that? So how do we know if they have known? Is if they do something that you can see. Is that not so? Like if they are explaining, for instance, if they are listening, for example, if they are describing. Now these are words that once they are being performed, you can see and measure. So objectives have some characteristics. Let me give you 5 of them. Objectives are specific. You know, you can also call them specific objectives. Am I right? Yes. Objectives are specific. So don't go and write and say, when we finish this 40 minutes lesson now, the student should be able to count. Count from where to where? I mean, we are saying yes, the student should be able to count 1 to 10. So what are we doing now? We have made it specific. Right. A good objective should be measurable. A good objective should be measurable. Measurable. If, for example, you have said you want the objective is that the student should be able to count from 1 to 10, and the child is counting, he got to 4, he couldn't go again. You know where he stopped. Is that not so? Measurable. A good objective should be attainable. 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 This, you are planning a lesson for 40 minutes. You should be able to tell what can you achieve within these 40 minutes. What can the students learn? The learners take in these 40 minutes. Attainable. So it means that you are not going to be planning too much. You know the syllabus is for 1 year. Is that also? You cannot bring a week, something that should be done in 1 week, and expect it to be done in the lesson. So it should be attainable. Attainable. A good objective should be realistic. Should be realistic. Should be realistic. A good objective should be realistic. You know, sometimes you are writing objectives. The student should be able to do this. Is that realistic? It's not realistic now. Do what is realistic. realistic. You know, sometimes we are in July is finishing today. Are you aware of that? Yeah? Tomorrow we enter into, very soon I will be celebrating Christmas. Very soon I will start New Year. Did you see how when this new year was coming, we came the other time, 1st January 2021. Check, in this year, I will do like this, I will do like this, I will do like this, I will do like this. August is tomorrow. How far? A good objective finally should be time bound. Time bound. A good objective should be time bound. You don't have all the eternity to pursue an objective. You should have time allocation. That's why when we say by the end of the lesson, you know what I say? That after 40 minutes of this lesson, this and this should happen. So that lesson, by the end of this lesson that you are putting there, and I say, in 40 minutes time, this is what's going to happen. Did you see the element of time here now? Is time bound. Time bound. Now, when you have taught a lesson and you have evaluated it, either summative evaluation or whatever evaluation, and you discover that the objectives are not achieved, please don't feel embarrassed to take the lesson again. There are many ways of doing that. You sit down, you analyze the previous lesson. What went wrong? Huh? What did you do that made it difficult? Okay, so what can we do the next time? What method can we apply if the other one was faulty? This, that. Now, by the time you do a correct analysis, by the time you are going to that lesson again, you discover that God helping you, the lesson will become successful. Let me leave objective at that point as I'm watching my time. To take on something very small before I go away. Now, when we teach, we are expecting that the students should incorporate knowledge into their minds, correct? And so that thing is provided for in the lesson plan, previous knowledge. Are you familiar with that? What is that thing? What do you call that? Previous knowledge is what? Yes, sir. The man in black is saying something.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Previous knowledge is what the student knows before the lesson.
Okay? Yes. So I don't need to think like because this is what I've been doing. Give an example. Say this I've been doing it. Yes? Yes, sir. And I don't look back, you tell us yes.
The experience they might have had that is relevant to the lesson about.
So tell us how you go after, give us an example.
The students, the learners are familiar with maybe social concept. For instance, let's say now if it's a mathematics want to teach subtraction, they are familiar with addition.
Okay. Any other teachers please help? Teachers please.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So someone to teach transportation. So give us knowledge.
Students have been traveling by transportation means.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. What if the students have not been traveling in cars? Yes, sir. No, I'm not quarreling. What if they have not been seeing it?
$1 million.
So what we're saying is that we are not sure, isn't it? We are not sure. So when we want to write a freedom of knowledge for transportation, he said students have been seeing cars and motorcycle and everything. When I carry my rifle, I say, how do you know? Do you know why I'm asking like that? Because you are not sure. And if you are going to build a structure on an imaginary surface, will it hold? Will it work? It can't work. So your assumption will be right, it will be wrong. So we write previous knowledge very, very deliberately and carefully too, because this great lesson you have learned can fail if that area is not properly taken care of. Now, just take note that this thing we call learning and knowledge is like a building. Hello? It's like a building. How do you build? How do you build? One layer on top of another layer. Can we suspend cos 2, 3 and build 4, then go back to cos? Is it possible like that? And that's the reason why many of us here, all of us here, have problems because of that thing. Who is among us that have the problem of students in SS3 that are not able to read? Let me see your hand. The students are in SS3 now and they cannot read. Ordinary reading. Ordinary reading. What happened? You see that now. So if, for example, the teacher who was to teach A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, it's like a joke. If he missed that one out, and somebody is to come and build words out of these letters, will it be easy? No. And if somebody has learned A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D very well, and they didn't form words, G and O, go. This, and that, to. He didn't do that one. Then he's beginning to teach sentences. Will it work? Aha. That is part of the problem that our system is having. So, education is like building, and so every block must be put in place. If you ever watch builders doing their work, they will put block. They carry that their stick, that their ruler, or that their thing that have water in somewhere. They will put it like this, check. Then you see them hitting it small, putting it like this, then they will put again. When they put finish, they will put like this. When they put finish, they will put the top like this. When they are okay, then they cannot choke it with the... Now if they don't do that, you know, they block that, they will come on top. If this one is bent like this to this side, the one going on top, all of them will go like this, and the video will stand. So previous knowledge is what the learner has known that will help in the current lesson. Alright? And we don't assume it. If, for example, you are teaching English, you have just taught the letters of the alphabet, they have learned it. Now you want to teach formation of words. And what becomes your previous knowledge? The learners have been taught what? Letters of the alphabet. Next thing now, they are learning how to do what? Form words. Form 2-letter words. Go. To. is. Now, the next time you're going to form 3-letter words. What's your previous knowledge now? They have learned how to form 2-letter words. Now we are going on to do what? 3-letter words. 1, 2, his, her. Okay? Now, by the time you have done all of that, and then you want to enter into sentence formation, what is your previous knowledge? They have learned what? Formation of words. Now they are going into sentences. Now, we have no sentence, no sentence, no sentence, no sentence. Simple sentence, complex sentence, all of that. Now you want to teach a part of speech now. In this sentence that I'm reading, which one is a noun, which one is a verb, which one is a this? Alright? What is your previous knowledge? Now you can see that you are linking the new experience to the old, linking to the old, linking to the old, so that the chain will be what? Will be continuous. Will be continuous. Yes, sir.
What if you are teaching the topic of the first time, like you gave an example with data? Why should we the previous knowledge for teaching later now?
Very good. Now there are ways you can generate previous knowledge. Let me give you 3 ways. What I have done now, I have derived them from what I have previously taught. Right? It may not be like that all the time. Sometimes you need to give a test. Right? When you give the test, it is not for any achievement or anything. You are discovering where they are. Our first president has talked about going for workshops. Or if you are familiar with workshop, sometimes you go in the morning, they give you a set of questions to answer. Right? You discover that you don't know anything inside. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, they keep it. Then they teach the workshop. Later, they bring back the same test. Now you can pass. What is it now? They use that test as to determine where are you. Okay? You can use an interview. That is, you stay with the students, you ask them questions, they answer it. Their response tells you where they are. And she tell you where to come in. Right? So, previous knowledge. So, 3 ways you can generate previous knowledge. All right? So that now you see, that's the reason why if you are teaching in primary 1 and you have not handled the issues of that subject properly, you have created a problem already for a teacher in primary 2. Did you see that? And if the primary 2 does not do it properly, you have created a bigger problem for primary 3. And so, by the time the child is finishing primary school, he doesn't know how to read. Now, he now gets admitted into GS1 and is to be taught comprehension. He reading a long passage and answer questions. I mean, this child doesn't know how to read. So, which comprehension is he going to do? Will you succeed? That's the reason why our secondary schools are having problems, because the primary school is having problems. If there is any mistake we must avoid at all, is to avoid the omissions in the primary school. If authorities are to be wise at all, where to invest the greatest is the primary school, because if it goes wrong at that point, every path to the university level is scattered. So those of you that are in the primary school, please help us to lay the foundation properly. If you don't, all of us that are the top teachers will have a very terrible raw material to handle. And so if you miss a lesson, now see, previous knowledge is not just about one lesson. Let us imagine that you are supposed to be in class yesterday, you were not there. Alright? You missed that lesson. Do you know that the next topic will become a problem? And continues. That is the reason why many people are deformed in certain areas of their discipline. It is because of those omissions. They couldn't connect. I think it is safe for us to stop at this point because our issues can never finish.